What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Run Your Race show with your host, Akeem.
And Chanel.
And we got a lot of things to discuss. And I mean, we have a lot of things to discuss. So I think it is only right that we just get into it. Last episode, we pretty much discussed what was happening around USA trials, day 1 to day 4. And we're going to pick up where we left off before adding a couple other trials to the mix. So this is kind of what we have on deck. Let's just get right into it. Let's start with probably one of the most competitive disciplines in America to make, because there are going to be some women who didn't make this team who could probably medal at the major championships. But women's 100-meter hurdles, it's always going to take some type of, you can be safe that 12:3 is going to make the team. But as you can see here, like 12:31, 12:32 wouldn't have made the team. So Masai Russell, she runs 12:25, world lead. Alicia Johnson, 12:31. And the collegiate, who's having a fantastic year, Grace Stark, runs 12:31 to make the team. What was your thoughts on this performance right here in these times?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know who to pick. I feel like like you said, all the women in that final could go on to win medals at the Olympics. So I was a little shocked to see Russell run so quickly and world lead, meet record. She's been having an okay season, but to come out and do this, shout out to her and her coaches, because she peaked at the right time. And then Johnson as well. And she's been having a good season. But again, when you take down the vets like Nia Ali, Kenny Harrison, I was a bit surprised, but extremely happy for these women. Stark has been having a phenomenal season. So for her to continue that at this late in the game, I know a lot of these collegiates are tired. So for her to just continue that momentum and get on this team, we are sending, I would say, a relatively, new crop of women to Paris, but they are going to represent us well. I do believe that. And these times, I mean, for everyone in the final to go sub 13 has to be probably the fastest 100-meter hurdle race ever. So definitely one of the most exciting things that we saw this weekend.
Yeah, I was more surprised by Stark because this is a massive drop in personal best for her. She's been kind of hovering around that 12.5, 12.4 high. I want to say 12.551 was probably her personal best. So she dropped quite a bit here to make this team. But I felt like Alicia was probably been the more, both of these women, Masai and Alicia, throughout this meet were 12.3s. And if they ran 12.3 in the heats and they ran 12.3 in the semis, and it's like, if you run the same time that kind of got you there, there's a good chance that time is going to get you on the podium and put you to make this team. So again, it was just a great race, a great run. And it is going to, if they can duplicate this, I mean, who's to say that any of these ladies are going to be held off the podium? 12.2 that's you're gonna walk away with something, and one of the things that always happens with the Olympics that I always like how America does it is it actually gives athletes the opportunity to speak their mind and to speak what's been going on and to get their feedback on it. And, you've had quite the journey. I've had quite the journey, but it was good to see or hear some of the stuff that they were going through. But the reality is all of these guys and women are going through a lot of different things. And so the message that was shared, was coming from a good place. When Alicia said, and Masai said as well too, I was counted out. This is elite sports. It is not, you're always going to be counted out. We should always expect to be counted out. So it's good to see that they were able to nurture that and put it on the track and use that as fuel to kind of help them make the team. But you've been counted out more times than you can count. But so what part of the professional sports is, you got to block out the noise and put it on the track, your respective sport. And this is what these women were able to do. So hats off to all of them. Congratulations. And we keep things pushing. We're going to stay at the hurdles, men's 100-meter 10 hurdles, sub 13 to make the team. So 3 men ran sub 13. Running sub 13 is like running sub 10. It's like breaking 2 minutes. It's tough to do. What was your thoughts on these performances right here?
Not as surprised with Holloway. He has kind of demonstrated what type of shape he's in. He ran sub 13 every single round. So definitely still the clear favorite for Paris, in my opinion. But Crittenden and Roberts, extremely happy for them. Fast times. And I think that they've made themselves medal contenders, So again, just a fast race to have to run sub 13 to make our Olympic team. It just goes to show our depth and how tough it is. So just really, really excited for this crop of men to go and represent the USA next month.
Oh, it's end of the month, huh? Grant ran sub 13 3 times. And I think the knock on him has been the consistency part where, he's running 13 once, 13-0, but it's like, man, to take that next step, we got to see you run sub 13 a lot more. And it seems like every time he touched the track this year, it seems like he's knocking at that sub 13 door, and he did it 3 times in 12.8. The world record is 12.80. He's very, very close to it. Again, he came close before. And to Crittenden and Roberts, anytime that you can run sub 13, as you said, you put yourself in a medal contention. And it's hard not to think that America doesn't have a great shot at being 1, 2, 3. However, there's also other countries who are climbing towards that sub 13 as well, too. And, you can't forget about the Jamaicans. We're going to talk about a little bit later. But I was actually just really impressed with the consistency of Holloway throughout the rounds, and just the grit of Crittenden and just Daniel Roberts finding a way to make the team. Cordell Tinch was 13.03 and he got 4th. And he's a sub 13 hurdler as well, too. So, again, America, one of the toughest teams to make, but it's hard not to think that Grant Holloway isn't going to be the favorite going in. But again, you guys are sending a strong team, and look forward to seeing what they can do. 1280, 1286. It's not too far from the world record. But we keep things pushing. We go over to the sprints, women's 200. We knew this was going to be fast. Took sub 22 to make the team. Gabby Thomas, 21.81 after her 21.7 in the semifinals. Brittany Brown, earlier in the season, she was saying, I just want a little bit of respect. She's definitely got that, 21.90. And Mackenzie Long, after her, slow start in the 100, she was able to come back and make the team with a 21.91. Sha'Carri Richardson finished 4th. But, 3 sub 22 performances. What was your thoughts on these women right here?
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly. Don't have much to add. Thomas with the 21.7 in the semis, we knew that what type of fitness she was in, and she's no shock to me. But Brown and Long, just extremely happy for them. Like you said, Brown just wants that respect, and hopefully she's earned it by making the Olympic team. And then for Long to bounce back after not making that 100-meter team after that disappointment, it's hard to do. But she was able to block that out, regroup, and come out here and make the Olympic team of the 200. So extremely happy for her. It's been a long season. Hopefully she gets some rest and is able to reboot those legs for the Olympics coming up. And Sha'Carri not making it. Curious to hear her thoughts on that. But for her to still have that spot on the 100 and of course the 4x1, I think she's okay. Of course she probably wanted to make the 200, but she does have 2 other events that she can focus on. So we are sending a very, very solid squad.
Yeah, Gabby Thomas early on in the season wasn't really running too great. She was saying she was loaded with workouts and all these different things, and that seems to be correct. So now, the workouts are dialed back a little bit, and she's feeling fresh. 21.7, 21. I think she went sub 22 every round, if I remember correctly. When she gets upright running, man, it's tough to beat her. She's tall, she covers ground, she's powerful, she uses her arms very well, and she sits tall. right? So there are some sprinters who are a little bit taller and they run like they're shorter sprinters. She runs like her height, and it's tough to beat her when she gets going. I thought Brittany Brown and Mackenzie Long, I mean, they just made sure that they didn't break. Sometimes you got to be able to hold that top end and to just hold it. And they did a great job of doing that and holding on and finding a way to make this team. And sometimes that is part of it. You know, everybody in the field is fast, but sometimes you got to dig a little bit deeper. And I feel like this is probably the icing on the cake. Well, this is probably the cake. The icing would be to medal from Mackenzie Long. But with all that she's been through this year, you know, but all that she's accomplished this year, it feels like this is a nice addition to an already great year. So it's, you know, you just happy for people, you know, because you hear their stories. So again, you guys are setting a great team, and it's going to add more flair to the fire. As far as Sha'Carri Richardson, you know, she probably ain't worried about too much about this. She gonna be just fine. But let's go over to the men's side, because that was also a close race. Once again, you know, the fourth place position, Christian Coleman came fourth. Arian Knighton keeps him off of the team. It goes Noah Lyles, 1953, world lead, meet record. Kenny Bednarek, 1959. And Arian Knighton, 1977 for a season best, personal best for Bednarek as well, too. What was your thoughts on this performance right here?
Yeah, I think it's really, really cool that Lyles and Bednarek both made the team for the 1 and the 2. They have pretty much separated themselves as U.S. top sprinters right now. And Bednarek, I think in his post-race interview said, like, look, I'm right on you. I don't remember his exact words, but he said it to Lyles, like, you're not that far ahead of me. And 1959, he's right. He's really not that far ahead of him. So excited to see this rivalry continue. Knighton really impressed me because this was his first meet in I don't know how many months due to the ban that he had. And for him to still be this sharp and just get better and better each round, and to make the team in a very fast time, not his fastest, but still he did enough to make the team. And like our caption says, he kept Coleman in that 4th place position, which is the worst position to be in, but I'm sure it'll add fuel to the fire for Coleman, and he'll run a wicked leg on our 4x1. So yeah, these times, it's U.S. trials is just ridiculous. And these times in these races are showing it. What it takes to make our team is just, we're leaving a lot of great athletes at home.
Yeah, as far as Coleman, you know, being left off the team, you know, I got to say, like, I thought he ran a lot more freer in the 200 than he did in the 100. You know, I thought his top end was better. He did a better job of keeping and holding his top end and wasn't decelerating as quickly in the 200. Putting pressure on them in the first 100, but his 100 is the better event. And sometimes when you better event is already out the way, everything else is just extra. And so I don't even think many people thought that he was going to get 4th here. So maybe he overachieved, but when you don't make the team, you always feel like you underachieved. So tough to put him there in that 4th position spot. But Arian Knighton, I mean, after not running so much because of the ban, he was still able to make this team. But there's also going to be people who say, man, should he really get that spot because of everything that came with it? It is what it is. And that's part of the stuff that he's going to have to live with as he carries through 4th, going to the games and so forth. Kenny Bednarek is like a silent assassin. You know, he doesn't really say too much. And even when he says stuff, it's like very quiet, and like you kind of have to really listen to hear what he's saying. But the man speaks loud on the track. 12:53 and 12:59 in track and field. Like on paper, it may seem like, wow, that's kind of far. But when you watch the race, it's actually not that far. He made it tough for Noah Lyles. You know, Noah Lyles had to go and get him. You know, he came out the gates hot. But Noah Lyles, man, whether you like him or you not, this man's a game time performer, and he knows how to show up at the big moment, and the moment never seeming to be too big for him. And, you know, the man's got pretty good front side mechanics. And so whether you like him or you not, this man's a game time player, and he's going to be tough to beat. And he is going to be the favorite going into it, because I think Noah can go 19-3, but I think Benerick could be right there as well too. So again, you guys are setting a strong team, and it's going to be interesting because I think the 200 might be closer than many people think when the Olympics does start, because there are some other hitters from other countries who are going to be looking to steal that top dog and they become Olympic champ. Andre's defending Olympic champ. He's not just going to let that go. But there are some other cats that we got to be watchful of as well too. But great team you guys are sending as usual. And I'm looking forward to seeing the improvements and adjustments that they make in a month. It's definitely going to be another good one. We keep things pushing. As I said, we got much to discuss. We aren't even halfway yet. Let's go here. The title kind of says it all. I mean, what was your thoughts on this performance right here?
Yeah, I mean, Sydney Mclaughlin-levrone, she's just in a league of her own. She, like it says, lost for words. I don't have enough words to express how good she is. It's just phenomenal. And in her post-race interview, she said she wants to go sub 50. And I really don't put anything past her. She's just that good. She's still young. She still seems eager to learn the event, which is crazy because she set the world record again and is still saying there's still a lot for me to learn, things for me to work on. I mean, she's humble, she's gracious. She just seems like she works hard and it just wants to use her God-given talent to the best of her ability. And that's what she's doing. And for Cockrell and Jones, when you compare it to Sydney's time, it's like, oh, that's not that great. These are fast times, and they deserve their props and their flowers and their praise too, because 52:64, 52:77, this is fast. This and previous Olympic trials, this wins, and so shout out to them. Extremely happy for them. They both ran incredible races. Jones is coming off a long season. So for her to take down Shamir Little, that was, phenomenal. And a lot of people say, including myself, were saying, well, Shamir's legs are probably exhausted. She also ran those 400-meter rounds, which she and her coach may be questioning, was that the right call? Hindsight is 2020. But yeah, Sydney Mclaughlin, like our title says, lost for words. Just shout out to her.
I mean, you talked about it. Dalilah Muhammad is also in this race, and she was the world record holder at one point, and I believe it was like 52-1, like something like that. And 52 is fast, is what we're saying. These are both personal best for Anna Cockrell, 52:64, and for Jones, 52:77. And she just came out of college, and she has a nice 3 stripes on. But Sydney ran 2 seconds faster. And so we're witnessing right here a generational talent that, is, I'm not even going to say she's in her prime yet. I think she's on her best years for another couple more years. And if she stays healthy, 49.9 seems crazy, but so did 50.65, so it's hard to, like, what negative thing can you say about Sydney Mclaughlin-levrone? We don't even know her, but she seems like a person that just comes out, works hard, does what she needs to, and then she's out. So the question, what you said the other day was, I wonder if she gets a bonus for this. And I was just like, yeah, maybe she should have saved this world record for the Olympics. But I
don't know if it matters where you run it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never ran one, so I wouldn't know. But all in all, I mean, this is it's an incredible time. Next closest person is Femke. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to talk about her yet because we haven't really seen her run too many either. But I mean, what more can you say than incredible performance from Sydney Mclaughlin-levrone and the rest of the women? You guys are sending another strong team. And with these times right here, the two women, Anna Cockrell and Jones, if they make the final, they got a great shot at medaling as well too. So, yeah, lots of words, man. It's an incredible time. Let's keep things going. Let's stay with the long hurdles, and we go to the men's side. 47.96 doesn't make the team. Like decades ago, 47.9 you winning gold every single time. So it goes to show the evolution of the sport in the event. Ry Benjamin, 46-46 world lead. CJ Allen, 47-81. Trevor Bassett, 47-82. I was completely biased in this race. I wanted Aldridge Bailey to make the team. It didn't pan out for him. But you also said, when we were kind of just talking about it, you said, I don't know, man. I think Trevor going to make that team. I'm like, why? You're like, I don't know. He just finds a way how to do it. So he did it. What was your thoughts on this performance right here? I mean, 46-46 wins every single year except for the past 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, Rye, I read an interview that he did, and he said, I used to go into these big races and say, I have to beat Warholm. I have to get him. And his whole focus was on somebody else. But these past couple of years, he's just been focusing on him and saying, I just got to go out there and do me and be the best me. And that change in perspective has really he just seems like he's running free. He's just doing his thing. And like you said, 46-46 speaks for itself. And I think it is going to take a bit faster to win Olympic when you add in those other two cats. But he's on the perfect trajectory to go out there and be in the best shape that he can be to take gold, and I'm rooting for him because again he just seems like a nice guy. It's hard not to root for him. And then CJ Allen, I wasn't surprised. I told you when we were talking off camera, I thought he was going to get second. He's someone I read about him too. He recently got his master's and his doctorate, and he works full time. So I mean, it's just so cool to hear these people's stories off the track. You said earlier, everyone's going through something. And I think we're starting to do a better job of highlighting what people are truly going through and what their lives are like off the track. So for him to balance work and school and training, and I think he trains himself, the story just gets crazier and crazier. So extremely, extremely happy for him. And then Trevor, like I said, he always just seems to find a way to make a team. And I think he's unsponsored. And so hopefully him now having that title as an Olympian, hopefully he earns the respect of a shoe company and can get that sponsorship because it's so hard to do it without one. So again, strong team. We're going to keep saying that about every team that we talk about, but extremely happy for these guys.
Yeah, again, I said I was completely biased in this one. I wanted Aldridge Bailey to make the team. But not everybody can make the team and things happen. I knew when I saw Rye there, no shape up, no beard trim, no lineup. I'm like, this guy means business. When you don't care, you mean business. I'm like, it's got no shape up, no edge up. And sure enough, 46-46. And as I said, in the past 3 years, like that's a time that, you put it, it's gold. But then you have Karsten Warholm, and then you have Alison Dos Santos, and then Samba is back. He ran 47 low as well, too. So it's going to make things so much more interesting. CJ Allen, Trevor Bassett, I mean, you got to put yourself in the position to get to the big dance. And now that you're at the big dance, there's more that you can do. And so when you're there, anything is possible because the hurdles, Caleb Dean was another one who we thought was going to be in that third spot, maybe even get that second spot, and he fell. So anything can happen, but you got to make the team. And so you guys always send a strong team, always going to be good. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this translates over to the Olympics, because if they keep running like this event could steal the show again, like it did the last time they broke the world record. So just a great performance. I mean, Rye is such a smooth runner. It never seems forced. He just lets it come to him in a way. Even though he's going to the hurdles, it never seems like he's grimacing of anything. It never seems like he misses a beat. He's just smooth, and he adapts and he adjusts and he runs tall. It never seems like he's ever under any duress when he's in the race. He's just a smooth hurdler. But shout out to all three of these men. You guys are also bringing another strong team. And so I'm looking forward. Everybody got to stay healthy. Don't run too much because this is going to be a great team. And when you run times like this, anybody can find themselves on the podium. So let's keep it pushing. Let's go to your event, but on the men's side, sub 144 to make the team. Hoppel 142.77. Kessler, after doubling in the 15, comes back to make the 800 143.64 after going 143 in the semis. Miller also did that too. He ran 143 in the semis, and then he came back and ran 143 in the final. What was your thoughts on these performances right here?
Yeah, Hoppel and Kessler, they trained together, and you could just see how ecstatic their coach was when he had both of his guys go 1-2 and make that team. It was a fun race to watch. I'll be interested to see if Kessler does decide to do both the 15 and 8. I haven't looked at the Olympic schedule to see if it is a doable double. I did not know he was this strong in the 800. I don't think he even knew he was this strong in the 800. So shout out to him. I know you're becoming a fan because he's just a dog. He just races. He just leaves it all out there. Seems very confident. And so, Hoppel wasn't too much a surprise to me. The time is extremely fast. I didn't think he would go that quick. So he is showing that he wants a medal in Paris. And I think if he performs like he did yesterday in that final, he's definitely someone who can snag a medal. Kessler, I really don't know what he's stronger at now, the 8 or the 15. So to have those two options is that's just phenomenal. And he's so young. And so shout out to his coach for preparing him to be able to handle the rounds of both races and then to go on and make the team. I was so happy for Miller. I don't really think a lot of people thought he would get that third spot, including myself. But it seems like the change in training to the Brooks Beast, he just seems so much stronger. He doesn't have to. He used to just kind of run like how I ran, go out hard and then just hang on. But he's seeming to hold back a little bit, and he has more of a kick now. And so shout out to Danny Mackey and what he's able to do with Miller in such a short time. To go 143 2 days in a row and to get that third position. I'm just really, really happy for him.
Yeah, I thought it was a good race. I always like fast races. I don't like tactical races. I want to see fast times. Hoppel running 142 was surprising to me. Kessler, I think if it proves anything to what you were saying, I think it proves that he can do it, because rounds are rounds everywhere. Again, we don't know what the schedule is, but the man ran 143 twice. After running how fast as he did in the 15. I didn't know too much about Miller. You were telling me more about him. But if you can run 43 back to back, that's got to put you in a great position to, one, make the final, but to get a medal. So I think if Hoppel runs like this, it's hard not to think that he's not going to be one of the favorites for a medal being on the podium. But this is another great three group of men that is already going to add to an incredible year for the 800 meter already. We're going to be talking about Mark Harap a little bit later. But again, this was a great performance. And it was a very fast heat just across the board. Like, it was a fast final. But looking forward to seeing what they can do. Rudisha's 140 seems like a thing that no one can touch. But recently, 141, 142, 143, somebody's going to dig a little bit closer to that at Olympic Games, I'd like to think. We would love to know your thoughts. So definitely let us know in the comment section about all of these topics. We keep things pushing to the women's 15. 355 for all these spots. Nikki Hiltz, 355.33. McKee, 355.90. Ellie St. Pierre comes back and she runs 355.99. As we were watching this, you were a little surprised that St. Pierre was able to hold on because of the double that she did and all the things in her legs and all the work in her legs. What was your thoughts on this performance here?
Yeah, I was reading about her thoughts on the race, and she said she just wanted to keep it honest, and that's what she did. She said, "Yeah, my coach told me not to bring the 800 meter through in 204, so I brought us through in 205," and I thought that was funny. But yeah, I was shocked. I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna get caught. There's no way she still has enough in her legs to hold off such a strong field." But she proved me wrong. She held on for that third spot. 3:55 is fast. It is amazing. I'm almost lost for words for this as well, because for it to take 3:55 to make the U.S. women's 1,500 meter team, I don't really think anybody predicted this. Hiltz looked stronger than ever. Her kick was amazing. She has to be feeling good and confident heading into Paris. McKay, she's coming off a really strong indoor season as well. And someone showed her progression over the years, and it's been insane how much what her coach has been able to do for her. And now she's a 3:55 runner. I mean, I don't know. I also read that St. Pierre may not run the 5,000 meter. She may just focus on the 15, which then leaves Parker Valby in that 5K spot, the third position. But then will she do the 10K and the 5K? We don't know. So there may be a lot of moving parts on the women's distance side once people start to announce the event that they're going to focus on. So that'll be interesting to watch. But again, I think literally every woman in this final ran a personal best. And so yeah, that we are showing that we want to run with the Ethiopians and the Kenyans and the British. And so just really, really happy for these ladies.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing how, when the best get together and when you put faith in the mix, what that is going to look like. Is it going to be tactical? Is it going to be, fast? I don't think Faith does tactics. She's not trying to stay in there. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. These are all fast times, and I'm expecting even faster. Can't forget about Gudov Sakai. Come on now. Come on, Akeem. But yeah, I don't really have much to say. You covered everything very, very, very well. And so we keep things pushing. We go to the women's long jump. Tara Davis-Woodhall pulls it off. She wins with 7-meter jump. Jasmine Moore put pressure on them early with her 6.98, I think in her first or second jump. But Monet Nichols, she jumped the standard on her last jump to take that third place spot. Now, what was interesting about this for Tara Davis-Woodhall is she fouled her first 2 jumps, so if she missed that third, it would have been over with for her, but she did enough to get herself in the top 6. And then as talented as she is, as consistent as she is throughout the year, she puts together the right jump at the right time and she made the team and she won. But what was your thoughts on this performance here?
Yeah, not surprised about Tara. It was a little rocky of a competition for her, but she pulled it off, just like the caption says. She pulled it off. She did what she does, and still, to me, one of the favorites for a medal in Paris. Very, very happy for Moore to be one of the first women in, I think, decades for the U.S. to make the team for both the long jump and the triple jump. That's not easy to do. So extremely, extremely happy for her. She was dominant in the collegiate system, and it's not always easy to translate that as a pro. And so shout out to her, shout out to her coaches for having her ready at the right time. And then Nichols, like you said, she needed to jump the standard in her last jump. And that's what she did. She got exactly the Olympic standard of 6.86. So again, strong crop of women going to represent us in Paris.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of the 3 that made the team are 7-meter jumpers. Jasmine Moore's a 7-meter jumper. So anytime that you can go over 7 meters, you're putting yourself in the good position to medal. Now you go with the other ladies across the globe, and it makes things even more interesting. So I think the thing that Tara continues to show us is that she's mentally strong. She just needs one jump to connect, and there's a good chance it's going to be over 7 meters. She's been very consistent. But sometimes jumps is so much about rhythm. And when your rhythm is off, you don't always recover like that. But for fouling the first 2, fouling the second one, and then coming and jumping the third, and then doing what you do best, she was able to take a breath and she got it done. So looking forward to seeing what all of these women can do. They're all big time jumpers. They're all able to find themselves on the podium at the right time. Weather is right. Energy is right. Who knows what could happen? So that is it for our U.S. assessment, U.S. Olympic trials. We go over to the Jamaican championships. That's right. Theirs was this weekend as well, too. And man, were they screaming at the world as well. Let's start with the women's 100. Top three go sub 11. Shericka Jackson, 1084. Tia Clayton, 1090. Fraser Price, 1094. And she makes her, I want to say, either fifth Olympic team, something like that. But what was your thoughts on this performance here?
Yeah, I just think that the Jamaican, both on the men and women's side, like they are going to peak when it matters. It just seems, I don't know any of them personally, but it doesn't seem like they care about the noise. It doesn't really seem like they really care about what the rest of the world is doing. They just do their thing. They trust their training, trust their coaches. And yeah, this wasn't as fast as, let's say, the US women's 100, but I don't really think they care because in Paris they're going to be there and they're going to show up. So I think they have shown that they are fit to do this into a slight headwind. I mean, I'm not going to put anything past these Jamaican women, and it just makes me that much more excited to see the battle between the US and Jamaica and a few other athletes from other countries when we do get to the Paris final.
I think Shericka is finally running herself into form. She opened up 11:01, 11:03 in the 100, and then she ran two sub 11 performances here. She's running herself back into shape, not just in the one, but we're talking about in the two as well, too. And she looked good. And if it's one thing I know about the coaching and at the elite level, they're going to get their athletes ready. And making the team is one step, but it's the end goal is to medal at the Olympic Games. Like I remember one year, Johan Blake beat Usain Bolt in the 1 and the 2, but Usain was still running himself into shape. And his coach was just like, hey, man, look, we got to make the team. We're going to be where we need to be. And I feel like Shericka is putting herself right where she needs to be. And she's the national champion. Tia Clayton probably a surprise because she was a young athlete, still a young athlete, but she ran 1086 in the semifinals. And personally, the way how she was celebrating, I thought she was going to be emotionally spent. Sometimes when you run fast, man, you put so much energy into it, you're not able to duplicate that in the final. And she did that very similar and ran 1090 to put herself on the team. You want to talk about another rising talent is her. And Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, I mean, what can you say? We haven't seen her too much this year, and people were questioning her fitness, as they should when you haven't seen somebody for too long. And then she goes and does what she knows best in the sport of track and field, and that's to make a team. And that's exactly what she did. So it was a good performance. I think all of these women are going to be faster in a month, and it's going to make things that much more interesting. But let's go over to the men's side. Kishane Thompson has spoken, as the caption says. He won with 977, Blake Seville 982, and Akeem Blake 992. What was your thoughts on this performance right here?
I'm a little ashamed because I asked you, who is Thompson? Like I didn't know much about him. Now I do. But yeah, he like the caption said, he's spoken. And I think you said he's been battling injury. So glad to see he's back and healthy. And yeah, almost lost for words because this was a surprise to me. My money would have been on Seville if you asked me to bet on this race. But yeah, I think, again, the U.S. versus Jamaica, it's shaping up to be what it always is, which is it's a battle at the Olympics. It's what most people, even non-fans of track and field, they tune in for the men's and women's 100 meter because it's entertaining. And then you add the trash talk from Noah, and it makes it that much more entertaining. So the Jamaicans don't really seem to talk as much as the Americans. They just kind of let their running do the talking, and I respect that. And you have to you have to respect these times. I know the Americans notice. Trust me, they notice.
Yeah, that's the thing with Kishane Thompson is, prior to this, it's just been the injuries. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. But I mean, this man ran 9.8, 9.82, then 9.83, and then 9.77. And Seville ran 9.90, 9.83, and then 9.82. And Akeem Blake found a way to put himself back on the team. But Kishane Thompson's a powerful sprinter, man. Very consistent, strong. Every single thing he does is extremely intentional. He covers so much ground. Force application. This man is technically sound and efficient. But what I found interesting in the final of this race was there was a part, maybe it was about 65, 70 meters, 75, where Thompson looked over at Oblique, and Oblique looked at him. I'm like, wait a minute, did they just look over at each other and ran the last 10 meters looking at each other? So that shows me, man, like 970, like there's more for Kishane Thompson than 977. Oblique Seville looking over, there's more than 982 left in him as well, too. Sprinting in Jamaican culture is very, very tough. And again, I'm Jamaican born, but the Jamaican culture, they always want sprinters and things to be right now. And we were kind of spoiled with the Asafa years, the Nesta Carter years, the Johan Blake years, the Usain Bolt years, the Frater years, and all those years. But if the one thing I know about Jamaica is they're going to find them some sprinters. And this new crop is here, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens at the Olympic Games, because 977, man, that's no joke. And I think they got two there that could definitely go sub 980 on a consistent basis. So yeah, fast. Let's keep things pushing to the men's 100 meter 110 hurdles. No sub 11s, no sub 12s here, no sub 13s here, but sub 1320 to win it. Broadbell 1318, Orlando Bennett 1318, and then the defending Olympic champ Hansel Parchment 1319. What was your thoughts on this race right here?
Yeah, a tad bit slower than the US, where we saw all sub 13s. But again, I just feel like the Jamaicans do a really good job of showing up when it matters, especially Parchment. So it's easy to compare the times, but when you know what you know, which is what I just said, they will show up when it matters. Just makes me even more excited again for Paris, because they are going to be ready. Of course, we already know what the U.S. men did, and I'm sure these men saw that and are going to bring it. And so I just really respect the Jamaicans. I'm going to keep saying it over and over, because they know how to peak at the right time. I don't think these men have peaked. I believe that a lot of the U.S. athletes, it's so tough in the U.S. You almost have to peak twice. You have to peak at our trials, and then somehow you have to peak again 3 to 4 weeks later. It's hard to do. Whereas the Jamaicans, I just think they're all just coming along at the right time. So they're going to be hard to beat. And all I can say is we'll see.
Yeah, these men haven't really ran too much. So they're still pretty fresh and still running themselves into shape. Broadbell, this might have been either his first or second meet. Same with Bennett. He hasn't ran too much either. Parchment, we saw in the Diamond League maybe once or twice, but he's usually a late starter. So these guys are going to be much faster. They're going to be in the 12-9, 13-0 once the Olympic Games start. And Parchment knows how to win a championship, how to win a title. He's done it before. He crossed the last hurdle and was looking at his competitors. So if he can get that start down, which has been the thing with him, if he can get the start down, man, he's going to give the world a run for their money. But you can't forget about the other two as well, too. So hurdle is always going to be interesting. Always going to be some drama. Always going to be something. I'm looking forward to seeing when they all get together, how it does unfold. We keep things pushing to the women's hurdle, which was another fast run. I mean, Nugent had the world leading time for like a couple hours before it was broken, but she ran a new national record. Danielle Williams, the world champ from last year, she found a way to make the team again in second place. And a name that we haven't seen in some years, you remember Janique Brown from her Arkansas years, NCAA champion. She came back to track and field. She made the team. What was your thoughts on this performance here?
Yeah, I think Nugent with the national record, like you said, she had the world lead for a couple of hours there before Masai Russell broke it at the U.S. trials. But again, like I keep saying, it's all about Paris, right? These three have made the team. Shout out to Brown. That's a name we have not heard, like you said, in a few years. Williams, she's always, she knows how to make a team and she knows how to medal. So you can't sleep on her. But they've checked off the first box. Let me make the team. And now let me regroup and figure out how I can medal in Paris. And this is always, in my opinion, the hardest event to medal in Paris, because to me, it's wide open. I don't think there's a favorite. And so those are the type of races I like. Who is going to get those 3 medals? I can't even guess right now. Would love to hear your guesses. I don't even know if you want to, because it's just so hard. The hurdles are unpredictable. Anything can happen. And so those are the races I get most excited about when there is no heavy favorite.
Yeah, I remember talking to Coach Andreas. He was the coach of Aries Mary when he broke the world record. And I always just say, Coach, what's the best thing about the hurdles to make the hurdles easier? And he said, man, it's all about execution. If you can execute and not hit the hurdles, there's a good chance you're going to run fast over the hurdles. And that's what Nugent did. I mean, she executed tremendously. It seemed like every hurdle that she cleared, she was pulling away just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And when she crossed the line, I mean, she was ecstatic, as you would think that any person would be, breaking the national records. There's only a select handful of women who have run sub 12:30, and now she's in that mix. 12:2, as we said, going to the USA trials, that's a good chance you're going to win or get second or third. You're going to medal. So Danielle Williams, defending world champ. I mean, she knows what it feels like to be in the underdog position and for people to kind of count you out. She's a great technician as well, too. But man, Janique Brown, after not hearing about her for the recent couple of years, it seems like she just popped out of nowhere, which she didn't, because she obviously has been training. But man, this is a strong team. I'm looking forward to seeing when they all clash together, what that is going to be like. Let's keep things pushing to the women's 400-meter prize. Nikisha Price continues her stellar season, winning 40 sub 50. I think she ran 49.6 in the heats, came back, ran 50.01. So she won her trial. Stacey Ann Williams, 50.56. So she's going. Janelle Broomfield, she ran 50.7 in the heats, came back, ran 51.2. So she is going as well too. Jamaica always has a strong women's 4x4 team, and this will be no different. But what was your thoughts on this performance right here? What was your thoughts on Nikisha Price? She hasn't lost a race in a while.
Yeah, I mean, we saw at the U.S. trials that some collegiates, they were just done. Their legs were, they just exhausted, and that's understandable. But Price found a way to make that team. I hope she goes and gets some rest so that she can bounce back for Paris. But yeah, just really a really special talent. Seems to have her head on right, and excited to see what she does this month, in a few weeks actually. And Williams and Broomfield, you could see how excited Broomfield was. I want to say maybe this is her first Olympic team. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, great race. What were your thoughts?
In the heat, she had to run a different way from the finals. I didn't think she was thinking that her teammates were going to get out that quickly on her. And then she had to reel them back in the heats. And that's why she had to run sub 50. I was like, why is she going that fast? But for her to be able to do this consistently, I mean, 50.01 is arguably one of her slowest times, which is incredibly fast. So I'm looking forward to seeing if she can continue this momentum into the Olympic Games. I mean, anytime that you can run sub 49, it puts you in a position. Can she finish it and find herself on the podium? Well, we're going to find that out, but she definitely needs some rest for a little bit. Stacey Ann Williams, 50.56, got herself on the team, and she is going to be a strong leg in that 4x4 as well, too. Same with Broomfield. These two women, Williams and Broomfield, yeah, they're going to have to go a little bit faster than 50.5, but it's possible. You get on that new track, you get in that, I have to get here, I have to do it, and you don't know what could happen. But when you run 50 point, it puts you in a great position to get into that final. And then once you get into that final, anything can happen. So again, great run. Looking forward to seeing what these ladies can do moving forward. Going over to the men's 400 meter. I wanted to touch on this one because Watkin was not expected to win this race. Bailey was supposed to win this race because Watkins to this point hadn't broken 45 seconds yet. I think his personal best was like 45.1, and he came back and ran 44.48 to get it done. Bailey second, 44.65. Powell 44.79. Jamaica sending another strong team over there, but this was a very impressive run by Watkin. What was your thoughts on these times and performances here?
Yeah, in most countries, it doesn't take sub 45 across the board to make the team. So like you said, solid performances, and it's going to take faster than this to, I believe, make the final and medal. But like you just said, who knows what can happen when you put that your Jamaican national uniform on, you step on that track, you're in that environment. It's just, you just never know what's possible. And now these three have checked off that first box. I've made the team. Okay, now let me figure out, how do I progress through these rounds and how do I potentially get on the podium? So very impressive final. And again, just 400 meters, in my opinion, is one of those races that is wide open in Paris. I don't believe there is a heavy favorite. And like I'm going to keep saying, those are my favorite races to watch. So shout out to these men for securing their spot for Paris.
Yeah, the world lead is 44.07. I think it's going to take 43 to win this event at Olympics. But if you can go 44 mid, 44 low, like this puts you in a great position. But as you said, you got to make the team first to put yourself in that position. And if he can go from 45.1 to 44.4, if he could do that again, it's going to make things even that much more sweeter for them. So great job across the board. Looking forward to seeing what the Jamaicans can do over there as well, too. Let's go over to the women's 400-meter hurdles, and you cannot sleep on Rochelle Clayton, as the title says, because she almost broke the national record held by Melaine Walker. She ran 52.51. Genevieve Russell 53.33, and Salmon ran 53.71. Again, 52.51 is fast, but she is starting to get that consistency now, starting to get that rhythm, and starting to show that, like, I am someone who can medal on any given day. So what was your thoughts on this performance right here?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Clayton. We continue to talk about Mclaughlin-levrone and Femke Ball, and she's like, don't sleep on me. 52.51 is not to be played about. And so excited to see her get in the mix and potentially grab a medal. And 53.33, 53.71, those are not slow times either. So they've put themselves in contention as well.
400-meter hurdles on the women's side, it's going to be a very, very, very fast race. Yes, Sydney is there, and she's going to be in the favorite. But these other women too, man, they can run fast as well too. It seems like more women are running 52 point now, which is great because this is how you move and evolve the sport. So I'm looking forward to seeing what these women can do on Olympic trials, Olympic heats in a month now. Let's keep it pushing to the last event on the Jamaican side that we're going to cover, which is the women's 200. The title says Shericka just did enough. She ran 22.29. Thomas ran 22.34. Berger ran 22:39. What was your thoughts on this performance right here?
When I watched it, I was like, Shericka looks like she's striding. It looked like a long stride. It didn't look like she really wanted to press. Didn't look like she was worried about time. She wanted to secure a spot on the team, is what I saw. So maybe is she in sub 22 shape? I would say yes. The other women, Thomas and Berger, they secured their spots, but I don't really think we should pay too much attention on the times. It's about making the team. That's what these three did. Now they go and they regroup for the big show in a few weeks.
You know, it's funny when we were talking about this at the table, looking at the times, you're like, oh, it's not nothing crazy, especially when you saw what the Americans just did. And I was just like, just go and watch the race. And Shericka probably went hard for the first 80, 90 meters coming off of the curve. And then she literally, as the title said, just did enough. You know, she didn't lose ground. She didn't try to gain ground. She just kept it right there. And this is part of the thing as well, too, is you want to get through these rounds healthy and you want to make the team healthily. And so she's absolutely in 21 shape, just 21 what? But when you see a 22-2 looking like that, as I said, I think she's really running herself back into shape and into form. And man, that 200 is going to be very exciting. She's not going to be giving up space like that, especially if she's got the lead. So very fast. And I'm looking forward to seeing what these women can do as well, too. Congratulations to Thomas and Berger. You know, it's their first teams as well, too. So, and they ran fast, too. This is no slow time. And they're going to run faster at the Olympics, I think, as well, too. So just to highlight a couple other of the Olympic trials. Obviously, we can't go over every single one, but there are some pretty cool things that we want to touch on real quickly. One, going to Germany, Owen Ansa becomes the first German to run sub 10 in the 100 meters, and he ran a time of 9:99. Again, you know, so running sub 10 is not an easy feat, and him being the first ever to do that puts himself in the record book, history books, to be talked about amongst friends for the foreseeable future. Going down to Louis Hinchcliffe, wins his first British title. The time wasn't anything crazy, but, you know, in the UK, it seemed like it was raining. But for him to be conference champ, I don't remember the last time he lost a race. NCAA champ, and now he is the British champ. He's just continuing a successful year. And I'm sure he is going to be looking to keep that same momentum going into Olympics. Phoebe Gill wins the British champs 800 meter. I want to get your thoughts on this one. What did you think about this one? Because Keely ran the 4, but she beat Jamaican. It's a good field.
Yeah, like you said, Keely Hodgkinson was not in the 800 meter, but Jamaican is no scrub. She's a phenomenal 800 meter runner. And for this young cat, 17-year-old Gill, to take her down, she kind of pulled away. Like, it was impressive. Probably shocked Riki there a little bit. I know you always say like age doesn't matter, but when you step up against the big dogs, you know, it's hard, you know, and she showed that she's there and she belongs, and she goes and makes this team for the UK. And I think she is definitely going to make the final. Mark my word, we will see Phoebe Gill in the final in Paris. Is she a medal contender? I wouldn't say so. Will she be in the future? Absolutely.
I think the first thing that I said when she ran a similar time to this, you know, I was like, man, is that a fluke? Like, can she do it again? And she definitely can do it again. Another couple of highlight, after jumping the furthest man since 2021 in the triple jump, his 18:18, Jordan Diaz wins the triple jump at the Spanish trials with 17:7. Goes to show that first jump was not a fluke, and that he is here to continue to jump far. Going to be a very good jump off between him and Pachado. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Canadian Marco Rapp, he runs 2 143s. We watched it. The man ran by himself. What was your thoughts on these two runs here?
I mean, I was laughing in the first round because it's like, why is he running so fast? 143 by himself. and then comes back the next day and does it again by himself. It looked like to me that he was training. He was doing 2 practice runs trying to prepare himself for the rounds in Paris. I think that's a great call. Looked like he wanted to go a little bit faster than 1:43 the second day, but he literally had no one there to push him. So to solo 2 1:43s back to back, he is in phenomenal shape. I cannot wait for the 800 in Paris.
And he ran 1:43.53 in the rain. My man was running the backstretch on the second lap in lane 2, and you're like, yo, why is he doing that? I'm like, because there's a puddle right there. So yeah, I was impressed by this. But I was actually a little bit more impressed by Jazz Shukla here, because to me, like, it looked like she was just like sauntering her way down the track. I wasn't expecting 1:58. I was expecting sub 2, but man, she went under that. And with this time, does that put her in the mix to make that final?
I think so. I mean, the 8 is so strategic, so you never know how they're going to run it, if it's going to be a sit and kick, if it's going to be a go fast. And when you're in there when she was by herself. So when everybody's good, when you're in a pack, when everybody has a finish, it's hard to say if she'll make the final, but 1:58.29 is not to be slept on. Like I said, she did it by herself. It looked like you said she was sauntering around the track. It did not look this fast at all. So for her to solo her way to an Olympic standard, she makes the team, and now she has a chance to make the final. So she had to do this first. And so shout out to her for going ahead and get the job done by herself. It was really, really impressive to watch.
Yeah, she covers ground. And that's the thing that I noticed about her. It may not seem like she's going with the foot speed, but she's definitely covering ground. And I'm cheering for her. This was a big breakthrough year, because prior to this, she ran 1:59 once. But this has got to be a nice little confidence, and she's going to Paris. Staying at the Canadian trials, Andre DeGrasse, he won the 100-meter title. The time wasn't great, but it doesn't have to be all the time. You just got to get there. Again, it was raining on this day, and he dethroned Aaron Brown, who has been winning 100-meter back when I was running. So Aaron, I think he got third in the 100, but then he came back and won the 200, ran 20 something, with just over the illegal limit. But he's going as well too. Brendan Rodney was second place in that race as well too. Christopher Morales-Williams, the world leader in the 400 meter, he ran 44.07, and he came back and ran 2:45s to book his ticket to Paris as well too. And not only did he book his ticket to Paris, he's made that 3 stripes look pretty good as well too. So he is turning professional, 19. So we're going to see what he can do. Right now he's got a lot of momentum, and we're a leader. We're expecting to seeing world lead things. The world is. And so expect them to make that final. But the people who you expect to make the team on the Canadian side, they are there, and they're looking to put themselves in a position to not only make the final, but to come away with a medal. So that was a long-winded way to say trials, teams, they're done. But for our Run Your Race question, which is a great question, it's like, after you make the team, after the emotions is high, you're excited. What do the athletes do now? Like, what are you supposed to do now?
Yeah, I think it's such an individual decision, right? You circle back with your coach, your team. I can imagine that a lot of athletes will take a little break, but then you'll have those that be like, look, I want to run the Diamond League circuit. I need some more races in my legs. So you'll see people in the Paris Diamond League this Sunday coming up. But a lot of the athletes will take a break and then get back to training, and then maybe try to get 1 or 2 races in closer to Paris Olympics. But really, what about those athletes who didn't make the team? What do they do now? I've been in that position, and I went straight over to Europe and just raced, made money, and tried to just use the not making the team as, fuel to the fire to go out there and run fast and make some money. But not everybody that didn't make the team can get a lane in Europe, right? So what do? There are B circuit races in Europe that athletes can go to. They don't pay as well. The accommodations aren't as nice as the Diamond Leagues. I've been there before, but still you can go there and you can run fast. So I recommend going if you can't get into those A races, which is the Diamond League circuit. Just go and prove to yourself that you still can run fast times, even if you didn't do it at your trials. And of course, in America, there still will be races for these athletes who didn't make the team to run. There's races all throughout the summer. So there's still chances for athletes to continue to run if they would like. And 9 times out of 10, most athletes don't just stop after the trials, unless they were a collegiate athlete who now they should stop and just get ready for next year's collegiate season. So
yeah, I think if you make the team, then your plans are adjusted a little bit depending on how you feel, how much more running that you want to run. Are you battling any type of injuries? Like, what does that look like in the next month? How do we get there the freshest so we can perform at our best? And so that question you got to have with your coach and see how you feel. But you posed a great question, is what do the athletes do now that haven't made the team? And I think you said it spot on. It's like, man, if you didn't make that Olympic team, well, go make some money, go over there and try to compete as much as you can, because there's going to be a long lull where you're just training, because there are races after the Olympics, but there's going to be a long span where you're not just doing anything but just training and lifting and training and lifting and sitting and watching and itching to get back on to the track to prove that, man, I'm going to make this team the next time around. So a lot of decisions that need to be made for both parties. If you made it, well, now you got to try to peak again at the right time. If you didn't make it, well, now what has shifted? I'm still going to finish through and run through the season. I'm still planning to end in September. So I have to stay mentally locked in and mentally sharp. And if you made the team, you got to mentally compartmentalize. Okay, yes, I made the team. I was so excited, my emotions, but you kind of have to push that aside to mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to make sure that you can do that again. Because sometimes people run their best at their trials and they aren't able to duplicate it at the Olympic Games or the World Championships. So there's a lot that has to be discussed and packaged in a way that when you open up that box again, that you're able to go in the direction that you want to go in. So there's a bunch of decisions that these athletes have to make, but all I know is that we are going to be looking forward to seeing whether it's the Diamond League or the Olympics, what these athletes look like and what the choices are that they have made. So that's a full show. This is our longest show yet, but there was a lot to discuss and we didn't just want to skip over everything because we want to hear your thoughts about all of the performances. Did we miss any from other countries? Please let us know in the comment section below. And if you've been watching this long, then I hope that you consider subscribing to the channel, sharing it with a friend, liking, commenting, but definitely subscribe to the channel. Thank you for everyone that has subscribed so far and continue to find us. We appreciate you. Would love to hear from you. So that's it. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. See you next time.